discuss this now in more detail. Stephanie Lees from the Institute of Economic Affairs and Jacob Diamond, who's Deputy Editor of the London Student newspaper. Thank you both for joining us here on Sky News this afternoon. Ladies first, Stephanie, you think it's a good idea?
I think there's a very good principle behind this policy. I think we have to remember that benefits are paid by taxpayers, and leisure shouldn't really be an option at the expense of taxpayers. At the moment, there's not much difference between being on benefits or being in low-paid work, and we really need to be incentivising young people and more unskilled young people into work. And there are very important work skills that you can get from these sort of schemes, whether that's teamwork, discipline, delegation, timekeeping. These are important skills which hopefully can be beneficial to young people and also help remove the burden on the taxpayer.
Why do you disagree, Jacob?
Well, I think there are better alternatives. I think if you actually guarantee some young unemployed people an actual job, that's a better way of getting them a job. If a Lib Dem spokesperson said it was all stick and no carrot, this is like a negative incentive to the fool. And what that means is these people will be taking more time off job hunting in order to do this menial work, which will only serve to make work less attractive for these people who we really need to incentivize properly to get into work.
That's a bit snooty, Jacob. What's wrong with menial work?
What's wrong with menial work? Well, if you contextualise where the socioeconomic background of where these people live, they are often people who suffer more from anxiety, more from depression, and now you are adding the threat of adding the threat of destitution to all their worries unless they go out and pick up litter or cook for the elderly, instead of hunting for a real job that will give them real value, make them feel like really have a stake in society. They won't this way.
Yeah, I'm not sure that cooking for the elderly is a menial job, but there we go. What do I know? Stephanie, what are your views?
I think these things have to be reciprocal. We can't guarantee jobs for everyone. That is unrealistic. And this is a two-way street. People are getting benefits from the taxpayer, and I don't really see what's wrong with people giving things back to the communities. Yes, in an ideal world, we would hopefully have these people moving back into work, but they will be picking up skills from these things. And we're not in a completely ideal situation where we can just give everyone jobs. We need to remove the burden on the taxpayer and help move these people into employment and get these kind of skills that they are going to be helpful for them.
Jacob, you talk about carrot and stick, and that's what the Liberal Democrats came up with. But under either party, the Conservatives and the Labour Party, they're both saying if young people refuse to work, then there will be consequences. One suggesting that they will find you full-time work. The other one saying you're going to have to do this work and we will pay you for it. So carrot and stick and a stick and carrot, surely.
Yeah, well, I think Labour's approach is a little bit more ethical and a little bit more moderate. Like I said, it doesn't actually give you the threat of complete destitution if you don't go out and do these things that the Conservatives would otherwise have people do. I think it's a punishment that makes people less attracted to work. And I think guaranteeing someone a job or guaranteeing someone an apprenticeship is actually giving them skills. I just heard that was this plan would help give them skills, that they would earn skills picking up litter off the street. I don't think that's true. I don't know why that's true. They will know that they already know how to do that. What we need to do is give them apprenticeships as soon as they leave school, which is Labour's plan, to actually give them skills that job and workplaces actually need, so they can get a real job that pays properly.
So who should be doing this sort of other jobs, do you think, Jacob, like picking up litter, cooking for the elderly, stacking shelves at a supermarket? Who should do those jobs?
Well, there is no... I think that's a misnomer. There is no assertion by the Conservatives that these are jobs that currently need to be done. It's made up in order for them to be able to punish young people, because the Conservative Party is an absolutely ageist party, which is why young people do not vote for them, because they want to appease their elderly, more right-wing voters and make sure that, and punish young people in doing so they can win votes in the next election. I don't think it's anything more than that. These jobs don't need to be done, and they are being done if they do need to be.
Are you shaking your head there, Stephanie?
This has got nothing to do with punishing young people. I also don't think it's actually a politician's job to have to encourage people or make work seem attractive. The basic fact is people need to get into employment for their own free will. If people don't want to do anything, that's fine. But I don't see why that should be subsidised by the taxpayer. At the end of the day, for someone in receipt of benefits, their working week should really look no different in its structure to someone in a job. You can work for 30 hours, spend 10 hours looking for work. That's absolutely fine. But why should we be subsidising leisure activity for people to not do it? I mean, and the other thing that I would add is I think we forget that this policy has got a huge amount of public support. We focus on this Westminster bubble discussions when people politicise things or talk about Labour or Conservatives, whichever you want. If we look at a slightly different policy, the welfare cap, when that was brought in announced a couple of years ago, 78% of the population supported that and just 9% were against it. By my calculation, that's probably the most successful, popular policy.
There, aren't we, Stephanie? We're slightly going off message, so let Jacob come back in. He was wagging his finger at you a moment ago. What was that about, Jacob?
Sorry?
You were wagging your finger a moment ago. What was that about?
Well, I agree with Stephanie that it's a popular policy. I don't think populist policies are necessarily moral. I don't know where that came from. I do think that if you want people to actually find a real job, and Stephanie cares about the taxpayers, these are taxpayers as well. But, you know, it's suddenly permissible for young people to be paid less. The reality is, if you give them more time to be able to find a real job, and the Conservatives actually pay attention to trying creating an economy with real jobs, then those people will be paying tax. Instead, they're going to be on benefits longer because they don't have enough time looking for real jobs that pay them real wages.
Stephanie?
I just don't think the two are mutually exclusive. I mean, you have people need to find work. I mean, it's people. I think we have a slightly mixed incentive with our welfare system. Ideally, I don't think you'd have anyone in receipt of credits or benefits that was also paying taxes. I think there is a slight problem with that. But I don't see why a working week, I mean, 30 hours a week, you're giving something back for something that you receive. I mean, this isn't ideal. Any jobs, anything, we need to be complementing existing people, you know, employees, people in the labour market. There are lots of issues to do with the, you know, I'm not here to defend the practicalities of this, but in principle, you know, this making people give something back is not a bad policy whatsoever.
Yeah, and Jacob, according to the Prime Minister, he's saying that this would only come into force after 6 months with young people out of work, education or training. So if they're still in a position where they don't have any of those after 6 months, that's when they would have to do those menial jobs or not get any benefits. How long should we allow a young person to try to look for a job before they should be put in a position where they're forced to do some sort of menial work?
I don't think we should have a government that makes that gives us that as the only choice. I think the reason I would vote Labour, for instance, above the Conservatives is because I believe that they would create an economy with real jobs so more people wouldn't be in that position, especially young people. Now, Labour is giving you policies, apprenticeships and guaranteed jobs for those people you just mentioned who will be unemployed for 6 months or longer, real jobs, and they'll get real wages and proper self-esteem from that. That's really good, and it means they'll be more, they're more productive individuals as a result.
If you were a Chancellor, a Labour Chancellor, how would you pay for all of those apprenticeships?
Sorry, how would I pay for all those apprenticeships?
How would you incentivise businesses that presumably are not offering those apprenticeships at the moment, which is what you're suggesting? How would you incentivise them?
Yeah, so Labour, it's the same way that you give the way Labour would increase the minimum wage to a proper level with the living wage. You give tax breaks to certain businesses that will offer those things. They're bringing in the mansion tax. They may well increase income tax. But if you look, I mean, again, if populist policy is something you're concerned about, more people are in favour of increasing income tax in order to solve those problems that exist within society. So that's fine as well. That's the way you fund it. Very easy. OK,
Stephanie, so put up taxes, that's the way we'll fund it?
Absolutely not. You can't. Putting up taxes is a complete disincentive to business and the wider economy. That is not the way to solve this whatsoever. If we want to look to see fewer young people unemployed, there are bigger challenges such as improving our education system, maybe more diversification. I mean, that's not exactly what we're here to discuss, but I think we need to tackle those things. But we can't put an extra burden on businesses, who, especially a lot of small business, face huge hurdles already. That is not more regulation and more higher taxation. Clearly, isn't the answer. We need to be improving education and hopefully improving the skills that young people are getting by trying to encourage them and incentivise them into the workplace and into skills like this, which gives something back to communities.
OK, final thought from Jacob, Deputy Editor of the London Student Magazine. What do you want to do when you finish university? I'm guessing either a politician or a journalist.
I'd like to be a journalist. Yeah.
I knew it. It's great to talk to you both. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Thank you. Let us know your thoughts on that story. Lots of you already tweeting me. We'll corral some of those, collate some of those, and we will let you know what your views are in just a moment. I'll have to sift through them, as you can imagine. Now, a convicted killer is launching